warm, kept me warm. You gave my life to me, set me free, set me free. The finest years I ever knew were all the years I had with you. And I would give anything I own, give up my life, my heart, my home. I would give everything I own just to have you back again. You taught me how to love.
Thank you all for being with us today, both physically and online, to pay respects to a wonderful man, husband, father, grandfather, uncle, friend, Leslie Paul Dixon. Les was born in Sydney on the 17th of February 1949, a few months after his parents, Gilbert and Ivy, emigrated from England to Australia. In the years following, he became a big brother to Bernadette and Philip. Growing up in Bass Hill, Dad became an avid Canterbury Bulldogs supporter, sadly a very disappointed and frustrated one in the latter years. Going to trade school, he passed at the top of his class, and employers were so impressed with his skill and leadership qualities, he quickly rose through the ranks to become a foreman before his 19th birthday. But his dream was to run his own business, and in 1980, LPD Duct Installations was born, still successfully being operated today, owned by his son Simon. There was no job Dad could not handle, from electrical wiring, tiling, knocking out walls, painting, roofing, building decks and gazebos, fixing cars and boats. If there was a job that needed doing, he would do it better than any qualified tradesperson in that field could have done. The saying, jack of all trades and master of none, never applied to Dad. He was a master of everything he did, and a hero in our eyes. Dad had a love of all animals, especially dogs and horses, hating to see any animal hurt or suffering. From family pets to stray animals, and even a water dragon living in his garage, he named them, cared for them, fed them, and quite often paid hefty vet bills to avoid their pain and distress. That's just the kind of man that he was. The love of his life was Catherine. Meeting as teenagers and becoming parents to myself, Paula, Bronwyn, Simon and Deborah, their relationship weathered many storms, but with strength, determination, compassion and unwavering love, 55 years later, they were still totally devoted to each other, something for us all to aspire to. As a father, he was a tower of strength, giving us unwavering support. He became a netball coach for his daughters, a soccer coach for his son. Nothing was ever too much trouble, although it didn't stop him complaining. Suffer me. With 14 grandchildren, Dad was the ultimate king of the kids. Whether it was building cubby houses, letting them do his hair and makeup, or teaching them skills and a work ethic, Grandy loved every minute with each and every one of them and was adored by them all. Leslie Paul Dixon, Les, Dad, Grandy or Dicko, whatever you knew him by. He was a perfectionist. That picture's not straight. A workaholic, a know-it-all. He had to tell you everything about where, what and why something was happening in every conversation. A great friend. He would give you the shirt off his back if you needed it. A provider, a confidant, an advice giver. A tower of strength. And a creature of habit with annoying little sayings that he would roll out everywhere possible. Where are the keys? Keys? Not the cheese, the keys. Fair enough. I'm a little fairy and my name is Nuff. You're a goose. You don't have to be a long neck and feathers that have to be a goose. And whenever my nose was mentioned, I own that nose. The family will know what the relevance of that one is. And when thanked for doing something for someone, that's okay, leave your money on the fridge. And one that has spread far and wide. Who wants the trifle? But most importantly, he was loved, admired, and respected by everyone who knew him. Dear Dad, as difficult and heartbreaking as it is to say goodbye, we are so grateful that you're no longer suffering and in pain and can now rest in peace until we see you again. Fly high, Dad, into the light. Give Nan Ollie a hug from us. You'll be sorely missed and forever in our hearts. Now I'd like to read a few words from Mum. My darling husband, I never thought I would have to live without you. That last day I came to visit you in hospital, you were so agitated. I just wanted to talk to you and tell you how much I love you, but it wasn't to be, and that hurt so much. I had no idea this was to be your last day. We all thought you'd be coming home on Monday or Tuesday. It was awful to see how much you had deteriorated and were suffering. I have loved you since the day we met 55 years ago on the 20th of February. There's never been anybody else. I don't know what to do now when I have things to tell you. I'll turn to talk to you and realise you're not there. I don't know if I'll ever get used to that. Thank you for loving me and giving me our wonderful children and grandchildren, and for the years we've had together. I wouldn't want to change a thing. I will be with you again one day, so please wait for me. I love you so much. Forever yours, Catherine. I'd now like to call on my brother and sister, Paula and Simon, to give their tributes.
Fan. You look so much like my father, they say. You sound just like your father, they say. For a long time, I would brush these comments off and wanting to be my own person and create my own persona. But after many years of constantly being told and actually listening to myself, I realised I am my father. Dad had a way. Dad had a way of being the biggest pest in the family, but we all loved him for it. He always looked forward to Christmas, and I look forward to Christmas, time when Dad would break out his favourite catchphrases, driving everyone mad, but I loved it. I even started making my own trifle, just so I could hear it once again. And when everyone would leave, he would tell them to leave their money on the fridge. I finished year 12 in 1997 and was looking forward to spending time being free and spreading my wings. That lasted one day, as Dad told me to enjoy my weekend as I'd be starting work on Monday. This is where our work relationship started. We had our ups and our downs, arguments about jobs, who was right, who was wrong, and this is when he would break out his 2 rules of life. I'm always right is rule number 1. And rule number 2 was, if I'm ever wrong, refer to rule number 1. This was shortly followed up by who is the best sheet metal worker and why am I? It always made me work. It would always made work for Dad very interesting and surprises around every corner. Dad was a perfectionist in everything he did. With that, he wore many hats, as he would say. A different hat for each task he would complete. Electrician to mechanic to construction worker. There wasn't much Dad couldn't do. He was the ultimate handyman. Someone I looked up to and aspired to be like. He showed me how the world operates and how to survive, and more importantly, how to play euchre. Dad's Rudy Hill School of Euchre was world famous in our family, and with some lucky friends of our families who knew what he was like. If you're one of the lucky ones, you know what I mean. I am the man you see today because of my dad. As the old saying goes, give a man a fish, he can feed himself for a day. Teach a man a fish, he can fish for a lifetime. Well, Dad taught me how to fish, and I'm thankful for that every day. There was one thing that was undeniable. Everyone he dealt with loved him and respected him. From coaching me as a child in soccer to convincing my friend Jamie that he was God, he had a way of making people believe in him. Dad could fix anything and you couldn't fault his results, but struggled when it came to dressing himself, according to Mum, who would make him change multiple times. I could spend hours telling you stories about Dad, but I only have a short time up here. So when I'm told I look like and sound like my father, it is the biggest compliment I could receive, because he was an amazing man and a wonderful father. And I'm honoured to call him my dad. We will miss you, Dad. We will catch up one day for a Canadian club, and I'll bring the bottle.
I have procrastinated for days to write this, as I found it difficult to break down 49 years of loving and memories of my dad into 5-minute tribute. It would never, ever do my dad's legacy any justice, but here goes. Dad was always the life of the party and always up for a chat, something my sisters and brother definitely inherited from him. I, on the other hand, love the quiet times I spend with Dad, sitting on the porch, having a drink and watching the world go by. We would talk about random topics. Dad always would tell me how it was, and I would sometimes agree, and other times I'd tell him how I felt. There were many times during our chats on the porch that we would be joined by the neighbours, who all thought the world of Dad. They always looked forward to his visits and his appearance on the porch, which would in turn end up in street gatherings where we would all drink and tell stories. Dad seemed to know the neighbours better than I did. When Dad's visits became less frequent, he was missed, and when they stopped together, the neighbours became very concerned. He left a huge impression wherever he went. Dad was always such a good sport. Ayla and Erica always loved giving Grandy a makeover and doing his hair. He always looked so pretty and was happy to pose for photos after the finished product. Saxon loved his Grandy and was always super excited to show Grandy the welding skills that he was learning in school. He always sought Grandy's approval in his welding and tried to impress him with his metalwork. David, my husband, looked up to Dad. David didn't have a father growing up, but he found in Dad the father he never had. If there was anything he didn't know how to do, he would call Dad. They would often just ring each other and chat about life in general. They developed a very special bond, and David loved him very much. Dad was my world, the first man who truly loved me unconditionally. I always loved his visits. It was sad every time he left to go home. Throughout my whole life, he always made me feel safe, secure, and loved. He always made me feel that I was special to him. Dad taught me a lot in life. He taught me to water skiing, to be independent, to always work hard. But one thing he didn't teach me was how to live without him. My heart breaks every time something reminds me of him. Yeah, the day he left was the day he took a little piece of me with him. I miss you, Dad. It's not goodbye. I will see you again. Until then, I know you will always be with me. Love forever, your Paula.
Bronwyn asked me to read this on her behalf. Dad, I wish I didn't have to write this. I really wish you were standing here now so I could tell you just how much you mean to me, Brodie and Kai. You work so hard to be the best and give us the best childhood possible so we would never go without. What I remember most about my childhood was you and Mum teaching Simon and I to ski. We had a bet which one of us would get up first. Mum and I won that one though. I remember all the kids in the street coming to see my dad for money when the ice cream man would show up. Because let's face it, you were always a soft touch. I remember you taking us to lots of different places on holidays, with the main one, the river skiing. When Mum was in England, you'd be cooking for us on occasion when we didn't want the food that Mum had left in the freezer for us. Your cooking was let's go to McDonald's. You did make me a few banana sandwiches. You would squish the banana down and I wanted you to cut it, but I had to have it the way you made it for me or I wouldn't get it, and sometimes maybe noodles. You gave us a great childhood and helped us all into adulthood. Dad, you were there for us whenever we needed you. When I had kids of my own, you always did all you could for my boys. You even got dressed up to meet your grandsons for the first time in the hospital. Even with your gay shoes on, the ones that you loved most. From that moment, I knew my boys meant the world to you, just as you mean the world to them. As they got older, the bike rides you took them on, watching them play soccer, making them dinner on occasion, chilling with the kids out the front, swimming with them in the pool, golfing with Brodie, Kai following you around saying, "What are we doing, Grandy? I'll help, Grandy." Brodie helping you around the house when you needed him, even before he would help me. In Brodie's words, Grandad comes first, which was fine by me. My boys looked up to you every single day. They love you even more, and they know just how lucky they were to have a granddad just like you, one that loved them and that they loved just as much. I know how lucky I was to have a dad like you that I loved and will continue to love with my whole heart forever. Dad, you were there for me and the kids until your very last breath, and we thank you for showing us how to love and how love is meant to feel. You're my dad, Brodie and Kai's grandfather. You're our superhero, Dad, and now you are our angel. Rest in peace, Dad, until we see you again. It's from Bronwyn. Kai couldn't be here today, and he also asked to send this message to Grandy. Grandad, I will never forget you. I will love you forever. I hope you watch me while I'm working hard, just like you did. And look over me always, Grandy. I love you, from Kai. And from Brodie, who's here today, he asked me to read this message from him. Grandad, the man who had configured a soul that no one hated, the man I look up to, I who have learnt from the best. Grandad will never be forgotten. Grandad, it is a pleasure having you in my life. I can't imagine where we would all be right now if it wasn't for you guiding and helping us all the way through. You're the light to everyone. We can't be grateful enough to have had you beside us. Always there to be your Robin, playing golf, making us laugh, and mostly being around you every step of the way. Don't worry, I'm always here, and I'll look after Nan, your beloved wife. Hurts me to say, I know you're gone, but in my heart, you can't escape. Grandad, I want you to know you're a sky full of stars. I will always look and wave to you. Love, Brodie. My granddad, my best friend, I will always love you. You are gone but not forgotten. Love, Brodie.
We'd like to ask if anybody has a few words that they'd like to say. Please feel free to come up. This is Ethan, one of Dad's youngest grandchildren. Talking to the microphone, sweetie.
Grandad, I wish you can come back, but that's not the way how life goes. I hope you had a great life, and I really did love you.
Thank you, Ethan. Is there anybody else that would like to say a few words? No? Thank you. Joanne would like to now do a... Oh, sorry. Yes.
I've known Les for 30 years. The last 23, very closely in relationship to business. My name is Cliff. He may have complained about me at times to various people. Les and I did a lot of jobs, but we also had a lot of fun. We spent probably the best part of 10 trips to Adelaide. We had trips to Mildura, of all places. Les was a very calming person. Right now, if I was talking to him, he'd basically say, it is what it is. He had a very calming influence on everybody, and I just wish him all the best, and I wish the Dixon family, greater family, all the best.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak? No, thank you. I'd like to ask Joanne to come and do a reading for Dad.
Remember Me by Anthony Dawson. Speak of me as you have always done. Remember the good times, laughter and fun. Share the happy memories we've made. Do not let them wither or fade. I'll be with you in the summer sun, and when the winter chill has come, I'll be the voice that whispers in the breeze. I'm peaceful now, put your mind at ease. I've rested my eyes and gone to sleep, but memories we've shared are yours to keep. Sometimes our final days may be a test, but remember me when I was at my best. Although things may not be the same, don't be afraid to use my name. Let your sorrow last for a while, comfort each other and try to smile. I've lived a life filled with joy and fun. Live on now, make me proud of what you'll become.
We now have a short video to play and have a few moments of reflection on Dad's life. Now like to lay some flowers on the coffin to say our final goodbyes. pallbearers to take the coffin out. Thank you all so much for coming today. If you'd like to raise a glass to Dad, please join us at South Tweed Community Centre. Enter via the swimming pool. I know he'd be so happy that so many people are showing their love and support of Mum and us through this really tough time. But your being here and showing us your support means everything. Thank you. Boys.